Hey, y'all. This is Frank the Bigfoot, and you're listening to the Paranormal Punchers.
Yeah, top hats to anal probing. That's how we do it around here.
Then they had a flatbread truck.
They had a flatbed truck. It's the tastiest truck on the planet.
Holy moly, there's a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's my phone?
Yeah.
It came into my suitcase. I threw it off
did what in his suitcase?
They attribute it to El Vampiro de Mocha, the vampire of Mocha. It was
Vampire of
Chocolate.
Mocha. Yeah.
That's right. Hey, stop all the beaming.
Stop all the beaming, UFO.
Hashtag stop the beaming.
Oh, man.
Hey, friends. Welcome to Paranormal Punchers. I'm Mark.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nash.
I'm Dave.
And this is episode 50. 50!
Oh, yeah.
Man, and we're going to talk about the Rendlesham Forest UFO Incident, which is considered, England's Roswell.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to talk about this with you guys. The aliens coming down, the conspiracies. But obviously, before we get there, I'd like to say hi to a few people. So, some great listener feedback and a couple things we got to answer. There's a couple questions.
Okay.
We'll start with, heard from Chris from Ohio. Hey, guys, I'm from Ohio and just wanted to say I love the show. I've just recently discovered, Chris from Ohio, I am messing this up big time. I've just recently discovered it, and I love the topics and the vibe of the commentary. Keep it up. You guys rock.
Yay.
Thanks, Chris. Hey, sorry I butchered your message to us.
But that's the vibe we roll with.
Yeah.
most
But
of
it
the
happens
time.
sometimes. Thank you so much for listening. We greatly appreciate that. And we heard from Rocco. He says, hey, guys, my name is Rocco, and I subscribed and gave your podcast 5 stars.
Hey, thank you.
Hey.
I listen to your podcast because I like spooky stuff and paranormal activity. I'm a huge fan, and I just want to say I love episode 48, The Haunting of Rana Lee. Mm-hmm. Ghosts are pretty scary, right? Probably not as scary as killer clowns. Killer clowns are very creepy. They are really creepy if they come out of the woods or the sewer.
Yes.
I just wanted to stop by and say hi. I hope you guys keep this up.
Awesome.
Killer clowns.
Thanks, Rocco.
Definitely.
And yes, killer clowns are pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yes. I just clowns, period, are
Yeah, pretty
scary.
much.
Now, Rocco is my 8-year-old nephew.
Yep.
So pumped that he's listening to the show. And just found out over Thanksgiving that he's into the paranormal.
That's awesome.
So I told him about a couple things we did and the things we saw. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Let's see. We heard from Tyson. He says, hi, Mark. What would happen if you found a real ghost and caught it? What would you do?
Ooh.
Tyson's also my nephew. Rocco's twin brother.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what I would do
Yeah.
if I found a ghost. Obviously, I'd post on our social media,
Right.
Yeah.
talk about it on the podcast. I'm sure there's people that'd be, skeptics about whatever.
Oh,
if
I'm
we call
sure,
photos
yeah.
of this,
Would you try to communicate with it?
Yeah, definitely.
oh my God,
It depends if it's a good ghost or a bad ghost.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's a good ghost, I want to know its history, what it's seen,
The whole 9 yards.
what it knew when it was alive, what it knew since it's dead.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
there's
true.
so much.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
What if it's a bad ghost?
Then I'd be like creating some sort of a proton gun.
To trap them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Tyson, thank you. Glad you
thank
guys
you.
listen. This is amazing. Let's see. We heard from Belinda. Well, Belinda actually recommended us on Facebook.
Oh.
She said, y'all are so awesome. My grandson loves listening with me. So thank you for keeping it real with some real thrill.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
yeah, definitely.
Hopefully you guys are listening now. Thank you. That's awesome that you can listen to this with your grandson, and he isn't too scared.
And if we do get out of control every once in a great while, so sorry about that. We get a little passionate about what we're talking about.
Thank you, Belinda. We heard from Data Worm on Apple Podcasts. He dropped the 5-star review on us.
Thank you.
And he said, love listening to this group. I think they're awesome. Even though a few choice things have been said about redheaded people on this podcast. I still love it. Took me about 2 days of nonstop listening to catch up, and now I can't wait for each new episode. Thank you for the laughs, and I'll be sending a listener story to the group soon.
Yay.
Nice.
Data Worm, first and foremost, Dave is our resident redhead.
Yeah.
And so I think he makes fun of that more than we do.
Probably. Yeah.
And please, I can't wait to read your story.
I know.
That's so awesome. Can't wait to check it out. And you guys remember on the last episode, Johnny had recommended us researching, looking to as a possible topic, brujeria, which is like, witchcraft in Spanish.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
you remember?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I knew we had, like I just butchered it right there.
Yeah.
I knew we had butchered saying it, but he messaged me. He said, "Hey, Mark, just listened to the last episode, Loftus Hall, and wanted to say thanks for the shout out of the topic, and very close on the pronunciation of brujeria." By the way, and then he put 2 laughing, crying faces, so obviously he meant I was not close at all. Great episode, he said. So I was like, dude, it'd be really great if you sent in how to really say it.
Yeah.
Even though we'll probably still butcher it. But
We
he
will,
did.
probably.
He sent us a quick little message here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's give this a quick listen.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you pronounce the word? It's brujeria. Brujeria.
Brujeria.
Brujeria. Johnny, thank you so
Brujeria.
much for trying to help us. But we just...
It's the emphasis on the syllables you're not getting.
You tried, Dave.
I can't do it, but
And you got to roll that first R.
yeah, if you hear it,
Brujeria.
the second syllable's got the emphasis, and it comes down and up again.
You make it sound easy.
Let's hear it one more
No,
time.
I'm
Let's
telling
hear it
you
one
what
more
it
time.
sounds like. Not that I can do it.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you pronounce the word? It's brujeria. Brujeria.
Brujeria.
Yeah, you were closer on that.
Heria. Heria.
Well,
Brujeria. Yeah.
we're definitely gonna check into that topic.
Oh, we're going to butcher this for a long time.
Yeah, if we do discuss this topic,
Yeah.
every time we go to say that word, I'm just going to click play on this so Johnny can say it for us.
Yeah.
So we don't
Nice.
sound like a bunch of idiots.
Nice.
Well, I mean, somehow we always sound like a bunch
I
of
know.
idiots.
Yeah, that's kind of our wheelhouse.
Johnny, thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. If you want to send us a message, just go to paranormalpunchers.com, fill out that little form, send us a message, topic ideas, whatever.
Yep.
Or head over to iTunes, drop us a 5-star review, and leave a message there. Either way, we appreciate it. It helps the show, and we get awesome ideas
That's right.
from it.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
thank you so very much. All right. So we are jumping in to this UFO topic, which I'm sure maybe a lot of you guys heard of already. I actually didn't. When we were just looking, some of our UFO topic ideas list, you had a list that we made probably
Yeah.
3 or 4 or 5 months ago, and I just liked the sound of it.
Right.
And-
So did I.
So Rendlesham Forest is located, of course, like I said, in England. And let's see, do we got exact details on this locale?
It's Suffolk,
County?
Suffolk, England. Yeah. Which is a little north of London.
Okay.
Just
Right.
outside of RAF Woodbridge.
Yes.
Well, what Rendlesham Forest is, it's this what? Maybe it's a 5 square mile forest between 2 Air Force bases.
Yes.
One is called Bentwater,
Yes.
and the other one is called Woodbridge.
Yeah.
See, I almost was combining them because we talked about that the triangle up in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So I kept wanting to say Bridgewater, but it's Bentwood
Bentwood and Woodbridge.
and Woodbridge. There's
Yeah.
2 Royal Air Force bases.
Yep.
Now, at the time this incident went down, the one base was leased out to the United States
Yes.
Air Force.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
And I think they're probably working together. It was the Cold War. We're talking 1980.
Yes.
People had talked about this place having, which they were not supposed to, but having tactical nuclear weapons
Yeah.
at this facility. So that's one of the things that, possible reasons why some of this cover up. They shouldn't have had these weapons.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
don't know why, because we were worried about the Russians having a bunch of nuclear weapons at the time, right? That was the
I
whole
think
thing, the
so.
Cold War.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I guess that would be a little bit closer. So
That's why Rocky had to go fight Drago.
That's right. That's exactly right. And change the world.
Right.
So this happened in December of 1980. It was like, was it Christmas night or the very morning after Christmas night?
Yeah.
I guess it was the 26th.
It was the 26th.
Boxing Day.
It
Boxing
started
Day.
like late evening, the 26th, and then, it continued for a couple days, but sporadically, yeah.
But what they saw was these lights. There was like a bunch of lights, like kind of swirling. There was like a red. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was like white, red, blue.
Yeah, I think there was a blue light also.
Yeah, I think so.
And it just was so odd. They had sent out 3 of, I think the base was made up a lot of Air Force military police because they were protecting
Right.
the facility and whatever was at that facility. So they, 3 of them went out in the forest
Yeah.
to check this out. Mm-hmm. And I'll let Lish talk because otherwise I won't shut up.
Yeah, so it was Staff Sergeant Jim Penniston, and then there was Airman First Class John Burroughs, and then I don't think I wrote down cabin
sag? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't write down like what his one.
His
but
rank? I can't remember
Yeah,
his
but
rank.
they were all pretty much. They were all just staff sergeants or whatever. But they went out together. They got in a Jeep and they started driving. And then it got to a point where they couldn't drive the Jeep anymore, so they got out. But at that point, they started noticing that they're they were having issues communicating with each other through the walkie-talkies, or they couldn't talk to the base at that point. So they left Cabin Sag.
Cabin sag?
Cabin sad sack?
No, it's Cabin Sag. Left him at the Jeep so that they would have like a relay between them and
the base.
Yeah. So then Burroughs and Penniston, they were walking up to it, and I think Burroughs stayed by the trees, but Penniston kept going. And what he found or experienced there was pretty amazing, like what he has said.
Yeah, he. In fact, he was right. He was taking notes in his journal this whole time he was walking.
Yeah.
But he described what he saw because these things were moving through the trees. Like they were not. Pretty high tech to be skirting the trees,
Right.
landing this thing. But anyway, so he came upon this craft that had landed. He
Yeah.
described it as like a triangle that looked like black glass,
Yeah.
and he had paced it out. But he did say, like the whole time he was there. As he was writing his journal, it got worse the closer he got. Like
Yeah.
just because he was shaking so much
Right.
from being terrified.
Well, he also noticed, like in the air, once he was getting closer to the craft or whatever, there was like so much static.
Yeah, he said the
in the
electricity.
air.
He could just feel the electricity
Yeah.
in the air. But he paced this out, so it was like 7 feet like long, but it was a triangle, so 7 feet on each equilateral side. Is that how it is, Dave? What do you call it? Equilateral triangle?
If they're equal on all sides, they're equal.
Yeah, you're the
Yeah.
science. You're the science guy. I'm just checking.
Yeah.
You got a double disco in front of you from Funk Brewing, Emmaus in Elizabethtown.
Yep.
He paced that out, so it was 7 feet, but he also said it was like 9 feet tall.
Yeah,
So this is a pretty odd shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he said something about it was about the same size as like a tank, so it was pretty big.
That's pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And here's the thing that is, that's really interesting to see. But he said on the side of the ship was hieroglyphics.
Okay.
Okay.
And he had touched this thing. He could just feel, again, the electricity coming off of it. It made no sound, even though he knew it was running, as you would, we would think a machine is running,
Yeah.
but no sound. But he knew it was on. But he would run, he ran his hand across this, and that's why he thought it was like smooth as glass, except the hieroglyphics, they kind of felt like sandpaper.
yeah.
Like if you would run your hand for something
Okay.
smooth to something rough.
Okay.
You know what other ship that crashed in the United States that also was reported had hieroglyphics on it?
That big acorn thing.
The
Yes.
acorn thing.
Yes.
Chestnut Ridge.
Yeah.
That
Chestnut
acorn
Ridge.
thing.
Yeah.
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 Glad you remember. Because the military swooped in and put
They,
it on the
they took
flatbread
that
truck.
one. Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
So real quick on the 9 feet high, did it have legs it was standing on,
it
or
did.
was it on the?
Yes.
So is that 9 feet with the landing gear legs, or is that a
Right? Are you going for his perfect 7 foot every?
Right.
It was a perfect triangle. It was a
something
perfect
like that?
pyramid.
Right.
Oh, and the
don't know.
hieroglyphics on it.
Yeah.
Yes, it had. They described this. It was a tripod, 3 legs that left perfect indentations all around, like
Yeah.
perfectly weighted. Everything was the same. Freaking flying pyramid.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So Penniston, of course, he was touching it. Once he touched the hieroglyphics, then I guess there was this brilliant, bright white light that emitted from the object. I don't know if it actually I don't know if it was the object or if it in his mind's eye, or like he was blind in a way, I guess.
Like something flashed him. Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like something, yeah. So I don't know if it. Sorry, I'm itching my nose. So I don't know if it. Sorry, I don't know if it actually was the object. I think it was the object, but yeah, he couldn't see. And then he did talk about like 45 minutes kind of time passed, and he wasn't really aware of everything. Or he did talk about.
He talked about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Felt more like 2 or 3.
Yeah, like it went really fast, but he didn't realize it until.
I mean, if you're looking at an alien craft, 45 minutes, 2 minutes, it's all going to seem.
It's just going to disappear.
Yeah.
So anyway, once he kind of came out of this trance or whatever, I guess the object lifted up and then went up to the top of the trees and was gone. It like flew off or whatever. So he also was taking pictures too.
Okay.
So it wasn't just his notebook. But he let the base know what he experienced, and he has never been able to find they wouldn't give the photos back to him. They said that they were blurry.
They did get some photos back from his role and the second thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But they were foggy. They're all
They're all foggy.
Okay.
That's what they said.
But later, photos did come out that showed the 3 indentations of the ship's planning, because there was a massive cover up.
Yeah.
But let's keep going with all the deets, and we'll come back to a little bit of the
Sure.
cover up.
Okay, so that was the first night of weird stuff that happened. Then the next encounter, which was like a day later.
2 days.
Was it 2 days?
2 days.
Okay. And that involved Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, who was in charge of the one base, right?
Yeah, he was the base commander.
The base commander. So he actually he had heard about it like a day after it happened, because he wasn't there for Christmas. He was somewhere else. But then he was at some kind of party or whatever, and an officer came up to him and was like, the UFO is back.
Yeah, so the story goes, it was probably still a holiday party. You know, it was
Everybody's
just a few
relaxing a
days
little bit.
after
Yeah.
Christmas. New Year's is coming up. But a soldier came in. That's what we'll call him, soldier. I don't know if that's what military police member, whatever. USA, a soldier came in and was white as a ghost. And, Colonel Halt was like, yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Because this is like beer. And he told him, like, the same thing happened 2 days ago. I saw those lights. So Colonel Halt was like, all right. He took 2 other guys with him, went out into the woods. They went, now this time, since the first time it happened, they were, I would say, more prepared, or at least wanted to, they
were already kind of briefed on what it was, kind of what to
right.
expect.
So they took
Yeah.
Geiger counters,
Right.
and some other equipment. Colonel Halt took a tape recorder.
Yeah.
So this time they weren't just surprised that, oh my God, it might be an alien. They were like, okay, let's take
Let's test
some
this a
gear.
little
So
bit.
these guys went out ready to investigate, and so they reported again similar lights, the way they were moving around the trees and flashing. Now it gets really, really intense on day 2, and not day 2. Yeah, the
second encounter.
Second encounter. But rather that I explain it, how about we just listen to the words of Colonel Halt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because again, he took this tape recorder and he recorded what he was seeing.
Yeah.
I just cut. It is 17 minutes long, the entire recording he
Oy.
made. I cut down some clips just so for our discussion. But give this a listen, everybody.
God, this is weird. To the left. Yeah, definitely in the left. Two lights. One light to the front, one light to the left. Keep the flashlights off. There's something very, very strange. Keep the headset on. See if it gets any stronger. Okay. Give us a rundown. Notation that this is on the beta reading, too. It's on the beta reading? Okay. Still has been removed. Okay. This is we're falling off it again. It just moved to the right. Yeah. Right to the right. Strange. Oh, why you going left? Let's approach to the edge of the woods up there. Can you want to do without lights? Just do it carefully. Come on. Okay, we're looking at the thing. We're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you. It's still moving from side to side. And when you put the star scope on it, it sort of has a hollow stare, a dark stare. It's like the pupil of an eye looking at you and winking. And the flash is so bright to the star scope that it almost burns your eye. We passed the farmer's house and across in the next field. Now we have multiple sightings of up to 5 lights with a similar shape and all, but they seem to be steady now rather than a pulsating or glow with a red flash. We just crossed the creek. Here we go. And we're getting what kind of readings? Getting through 3 good clicks on the meter, and we're seeing strange lights in the sky.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Is that not wild? And he described it as eye-shaped,
Right.
with a dark center, almost looking like a pupil, but also other lights breaking off from this.
Yeah.
I'm thinking as I'm listening to this, like, what if there's no alien inside this? This is like drones,
Right.
So they're up in the mothership above Earth. They're just sending down drones, collecting samples,
Right.
checking things out, recording video, well, whatever they call it, but recording.
Just collecting data.
Yeah. And again, well, remember, supposedly this base, now this base has a history of, in the World War, that the government, England, testing certain mustard gas and other stuff. There's talks about this having tactical nuclear warheads. So were they possibly checking out our technological weaponry power?
Oh, I see what you're saying. They're assessing us.
Assessing.
Yeah.
And now listen to this clip. Yeah, that was leading. Thank you. Assessing.
Yeah.
Check this clip.
Okay, here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal. 330, 330, and the objects are still in the sky, although the one to the south looks like it's losing a little bit of altitude. We're turning around and heading back toward the base. The object to the south is still beaming down lights to the ground. 400 hours, one object still hovering over Woodbridge base at about 5 to 10 degrees off the horizon, still moving erratic and similar lights and beaming down as earlier.
So now they were beaming down lights.
Right.
Hashtag stop the beaming.
Right. Did he say demon?
No, beaming.
Beaming. Okay.
Yeah, he's being.
No, otherwise, it'd be a whole different story if he was dropping demons
I thought
on
at the
us.
very beginning he said, like, there's a demon coming down.
A beam.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a beam.
Okay.
So that leads me, or that made me think that are they scanning
Yeah.
the base, scanning the area?
Right.
Because like, what is it over there where the Mothman was spotted? There's also a lot of like munitions bunkers that they built and then covered almost with ground. So
Right.
from above, you can't see them.
Right.
So I'm just kind of like, okay, so military base, can they scan and do almost X-ray?
Right, or like a
Seeing-
thermal graphic, or
Yeah.
something where they can get below surface level and see what's beneath it. Oh yeah, totally. They're
Now-
hovering around.
I don't know if anybody's wants to be a skeptic in the room, but those recordings, I mean, that's pretty intense.
Right.
To hear him, and very smart of him to go out with a recorder and document what he was seeing. Again, it was 1980, a tape recorder. The quality's not the best nowadays.
That's not bad.
But you could definitely, you could tell, like,
He's having a conversation. One of the staff sergeants that he's with, he's talking to him back and forth, having conversations about what's happening out there and the beams of light. And,
Yeah.
yeah, and there was very similar to 2 days ago, to talking about the ships. Now, there was witnesses in the towns around that saw these similar erratic lights.
The lights.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the government comes in and tries to cover this all up.
Yeah.
Well, right, because that's kind of where I came across. I don't know if you were going to keep going, Alicia, but
No,
it was
go ahead.
kind of
Go conspiracy.
there was a whole turnaround on his story. That there was a story that he gave kind of contradicted everything. So I'm thinking, yes, the government came in. This never happened. This wasn't happening.
Yeah.
You need to officially go and do this a different way, and stepped in. And the story that he gave was completely contradicting to
Who?
eyewitnesses.
Halt?
Yes, I believe.
No, I don't. You found something that his story was contradictory.
I might be confused. I might be confused.
It might be
the guy.
somebody
There was a
else,
lot of
but-
people that came out. Colonel
Yeah.
Halt wrote a memo
Right.
describing his incident, sent it off, and it was buried. Never heard again.
Yeah.
But what was it like in 2002? The Ministry of Defense, the MOD, the MOD,
Right.
they declassified a lot of stuff. That's how we got her. That's I mean why we're
Yeah.
talking about some of these extreme details. But his letter was leaked out in like some newspaper. I don't know if it was around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and that's where we start to get into the government coming in, covering up, brainwashing, the men in black.
Well, okay, so taking quick me break. The thing that really amazes me about this story, okay, you're in the height of the Cold War, or maybe slightly after the height, but yeah, still middle of the Cold War. And you've got nuclear weapons stored there. So if you're military police, you know you may not be told what's there, but
Yeah.
you're being put on high alert that you need to protect this place and, not let anybody in, all that stuff. You've got random things happening in an area that's fairly close to Russia. Your first instinct would not be to run to a random lighted object landing in the forest near your military base with a notepad. It would be draw your weapons and go full force against it. And then a second encounter with it, you don't take a tape recorder, you take the rest of the army that wasn't there the first time. So this tells me that they already knew this wasn't Russian before it even started. They thought they didn't have to worry that this was a Russian attack or a Russian spy or probe or anything. This was something completely unknown. Something was going on right away to make this different.
Yeah.
Well, this thing, and because after this happened, these 2 days, the government, Ministry of Defense, whatever, probably working with the U.S. government, they came in and they seized up all the radar logs on all this other stuff. Because and I swear I came across something on the radar that it was able to cover like a 60 mile distance in seconds. So this was faster than anything any country had at the time. There was no MiGs, there was no F-16. We were not capable of moving that fast.
Right.
Which again, that's extremely interesting.
So I found where the discrepancies I came across.
Okay.
So the Halt tapes, that's what we just listened to, where
Yes.
it was him actually doing it. There was a Halt affidavit that was signed.
Yeah, there was a
He
memo.
wrote a memo
and
that he signed.
And then an
Yeah.
affidavit after.
Yeah. And then there was a few differences in there. And then one of the Colonel Ted Conrad was one
about him.
Yeah.
was one of the guys who was with him there.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And said that everything that he had seen was it wasn't, and he swore under oath that there was no eye, there were no beams, there were just lighthouses in the surrounding area doing it.
That's the
There was
conspiracy.
one.
That's the cover up.
Right, and that's it. That's what I'm saying is after the fact, because I don't know who the second guy was on the tape who was talking,
Yeah.
if that was Colonel Ted or not, but he responded to the affidavit after the fact, which is after the government came in and said, BTW, this is not happening.
Right.
So
Yes.
a lot of conspiracy. The government came in and they kind of said, okay, what everybody saw was the lighthouse, which was
Right.
like 6 miles away from the base.
Right.
Now, I like how even Colonel Halt and some of the other military men, people, women, whatever, were like, we know, we've been here for a while. We know what the lighthouse is.
Right.
Like, what do you mean it was the lighthouse?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not like this first day they ever saw the lighthouse turned on.
Right.
Now, interesting enough, you guys ever hear of Expedition Unknown with Josh Gates? Mm-hmm. It's on, I think, the Travel Channel.
Yeah.
He just did they have a new thing about UFOs. Like, it's always
Yeah.
Expedition Unknown, and then UFO. There's a
There's
subtitle.
always a tagline down
Yeah.
the bottom.
The lighthouse has been decommissioned. It doesn't work anymore. But he got a guy to come up and hook up a boatload of batteries and a light equivalent that would have been in the lighthouse at that time.
Okay.
So he debunked it right away because he had that guy fired up, went to Rendlesham Forest, checked it out, and was like, there's no way that this would be interpreted as the lights that were cutting through these trees and doing all the
Right.
maneuvers. So, but the lighthouse is what the government told
Yeah.
the public.
And then wasn't it they were also trying to discredit the markings that the landing gear was making?
Yes.
That they were saying that they were markings.
They were like rabbits.
I was
that
going to
were-
say,
yeah.
which is, well, the one guy was saying that about, rabbits will dig little
little-
holes like that looking for stuff. And then, but the one guy that was it Halt or was it Pennington?
yeah,
That
it
was
was one
like
of
they measured it out, with the tape measure and everything.
Yeah.
Like each thing with the
They
from
were-
the
they were
center of the hole.
perfect.
Yeah, they were perfect.
They were
There's no
perfect.
way.
Yeah.
Oh, and he took
Yeah, the day,
castings
Yeah, the morning after.
of the depressions that the leg,
Oh,
the landing gear
right.
took.
That's
yeah,
right.
he went back and made.
And they were all perfect.
Yeah.
So obviously a rabbit's not going to,
No.
number one, dig each hole in a perfect symmetrical triangle, but also dig them the exact same depth and what do you call that, Dave, when it's the hole's arcing in?
Shape.
The same concave or shape. Shape. Yeah, shape. Yeah, it's a smart word. Shape. You know what I mean? So it's like, but easy for people to be like, oh, you're crazy.
Right.
Rabbits dug those perfect
Yeah.
holes. Yeah.
I feel like
What kind of rabbits? With the
The pointy teeth.
pointy teeth?
The holy rabbits. Yeah. Fowls.
around the time that this came out, I feel like somebody had mentioned the lighthouse, and then the government just
on
grasped.
it?
Yeah, they.
Good idea.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir.
That's what it was. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of conspiracy as far as like what the government was trying to hide and why were they
Yeah.
trying to hide it from us. You know.
Did you hear that the Men in Black came in and were like injecting sodium pentothal into all these witnesses?
Yeah.
Truth.
I didn't get that
to the soldiers, and then I guess with what do you call that, like brainwashing? But just making them through with the amount of drugs pumping
Yeah.
into them
Saying that
and
they're hallucinating.
clouding
Yeah.
what they think they saw, making it, and then so there's that
Right.
coming in and drugging
Right.
their own military
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Just so they didn't talk about this. Now, I heard that one dude had told, I guess it was a guy, I guess maybe over time you have some recall or you get hypnotized a little bit. But the one guy said that the Men in Black was like, these things have been coming here longer than you've been alive. And then shot him full sodium pentothal.
Wow.
So how long do you think our governments, because obviously our high-level officials in America got to be talking to high-level officials at MI6. Be like, okay, you saw that? I saw it too. It's on our radar.
Yep.
All right, how do we cover this up? They got to be working together.
Right.
I mean, we every government has stuff, technology to see into the skies.
Right.
So we have to be like, that does lead me to my biggest question I want to know from you guys. Do you think there's a reason to cover it up? Do you think the world population would lose their mind if they knew aliens existed? UFOs were visiting our planet. Do you think
Yeah.
people would just go bonkers?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
think
they'd go.
so.
I think they'd lose their cool.
Halt, Colonel Halt, he actually, I have a quote from him, or not a quote, but like basically he later confided that he didn't think the public was entirely ready to know all the facts about the case. He stated that if the public were to be made fully aware of what happened during this incident, it would completely change the way people look at reality and the nature of the universe. So I feel like the government probably is just like, no, we're not going to mess with that right now.
It's not a good
They're not
time.
ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they came here in 1980. Who knows how many times they visited?
Oh, God,
but they
yeah.
didn't. It's not like they pulled an Armageddon. Wait, wrong movie. It's not like they pulled an Independence Day. get my 90s action movies confused.
Yeah.
And tried to wipe out her planet. They did some investigating and took off. Like, maybe would it be better for the world population to know that we are not alone?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at this point, but at that point, I don't know.
In 1980s, you're saying between then and now we're better prepared?
That was Cold War. That was our hands on the button at all times.
Yeah.
Yep. And okay, think about it. There are a lot of different viewpoints on this. From the religious side, it means we're not alone in the universe. That is an entirely a shock to reality for a lot of people.
God, yeah.
And then beyond that, look at our current space technology. Even in 2018 here, we're sending robotic probes to the planets that are closest to us. That's the best we can do. People can only get to the moon. We can't send people to even the closest planets.
Right.
So if we knew there was an alien race out there that can reach Earth, we have absolutely no way to protect against this. In this case, maybe it was just probes and they were, fine and good and all that. But what if they were bad? Or what if there were other alien races already known about? This one happened to be good, and maybe we could have been told about this, but there's an evil alien race that they knew about that it would just, we're unprepared. It would put us into a state of panic where we can't cope. Once we have enough technology that we could say we could defend ourselves on a galactic scale against whatever threats are out there, that's a different thing, but we're not even close to that.
But wouldn't an incident like this have, in an odd way, brought us together to do those things? Because necessity is the mother of invention, and now the necessity has changed to defending the planet.
I think you're right. In 1980, there was it was too much. We were too much, finger on the button.
Right.
That yes, it may have brought us together, but now, except that probably they just need an event like this to happen again.
Right.
They're not going to drum up a story from 1980.
If this event happened now, it would be so difficult to try to cover up. Everybody is walking around with a device at every moment of their life to take and capture this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so as you guys were talking about like the 80s and people being prepared for this, you remember when President Reagan announced Star Wars? Where he was going to have a satellite in space.
Right.
But it was to maybe shoot down missiles.
Right.
What if it wasn't?
Oh, yeah.
What if it was literally because I had heard that George Bush was asked one time and about aliens, whatever, and his response was, I'm sure it's deniable at this point, but in this story, his response was, you don't know the half of it.
Right.
What if, because you had Roswell in the late 40s, 47. We had Chestnut Ridge in 1965, something like that.
Yeah.
We have this. So they launched Star Wars. Tell us it's for like Soviet missiles, things like that. Because Star Wars was still during the Cold War, right? When they launched that satellite. Yep. But maybe it was all because of what happened in Rendlesham.
Did you hear about this just came out not that long ago, that Reagan and Gorbachev had an agreement that if we were ever attacked by an extraterrestrial, we would drop all Cold War things. There was no more spying. There was no more animosity.
Wow.
We would work together to fight off a galactic threat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
As you should.
Yeah.
Wow. So this was back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s.
So that means also the Russian government probably had knowledge of what went down in Rendlesham at the time.
They had to.
And maybe everybody was maybe like doing a little covert communications. Like, let's not let the public know, but hey, if we have to, we're best friends. Just like in that movie, Independence Day, where everybody got along and took down the ships.
Yep.
Now, there was an attempt to cover up. Back on track, kids. There was an attempt to cover up the incident by an Admiral Lord Hill Norton.
That's a British name. If
It just sounds like a dude who's going to cover up this thing.
I don't know which is his first name or if there's a title or a couple of them. Who knows? Where he was saying is a member of he's a member of the House of Lords. That's an awesome house, I think.
House of Lords.
The House of Lords, yeah.
Why?
That's our Senate, by the way.
The House of Lords?
It's the equivalent, yeah.
Oh, cool. They had all the little powdery wigs?
No.
They were all the wigs?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Back in the day.
British Parliament, yeah. But,
Right on. Okay. Lord Hill Norton asked Her Majesty's government whether they are aware of the involvement by a special branch in the investigation of the 1980 Rendlesham Forest Incident. Baroness Simons of Vernon Dean, I guess, gave the reply.
Positive you messed that up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Special branch officers may have been aware of the incident, but would not have shown any interest unless there was evidence of potential threat to national security. No such interest appears to have been shown. Hill Norton then commented either a large number of people were hallucinating, and for an American Air Force nuclear base, this is extremely dangerous.
Right.
Yeah. Or what they say, either everybody was hallucinating or what they say did happen. And in either of those circumstances, there can only be one answer, and that it was of extreme defense interest.
Okay.
I get a little confused on that last bit. Extreme interest of defense? That they
Don't know what that means.
Well, okay, so a lot of
yeah, they're interested because we should probably prepare for
But
some...
they didn't do anything because there was no immediate threat?
Yeah, okay, so a lot of the things that came out around that time, they were like, oh, it was nothing. There's no threat to us. But I feel like internally...
They were like, heck yeah, there was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So-
but in either case, so they basically said, oh, don't worry about it. Either everybody was wasted out and it was some massive group hallucination.
That was one of the things that was trying to say about these the military personnel, that it was a mass hallucination.
Right.
And then, wait, that even doesn't sound like a great excuse.
Right.
What was going on that everybody would see the exact same thing? It's like, no, that's terrible reasoning. Like,
Right. But what that does is it takes the firsthand accounts of everybody being injected with sodium pentothal and making that the unlikely course for people to just dismiss and say, this is why it didn't happen.
with the sodium pentothal, what I heard is, so these special operatives, i.e., I'm assuming they mean Men in Black, they inject them with the sodium pentothal with such a hallucinogenic ability, and then kind of fill their head with all this information. So when they try to recall what happened, it's also mixed with that. So it will always, so it might not, it doesn't erase what they saw.
But it changes it enough.
Right. So when they try to tell their story, they won't be credible because they won't be able to remember details properly.
Right.
They're mixing what the hallucinations the drug gave them with what they really saw, and they'll just be a laughing stock. So, I mean, that's pretty freaking brutal to do that to a human being.
Right.
And to inject them with a drug just to, we're going to like basically
discredit you. Yeah. Yeah. And then to dismiss it as, well, the ludicrous part of an entire statement is, well, everybody was either hallucinating, which sounds ludicrous, or it just didn't happen.
Right. Yeah.
So it makes it also dismisses it as a ludicrous idea when we have firsthand accounts that is what happened and it was done from the government. Right. Well,
I tell you what, on that note, since we've been yammering along here, why don't we take a quick break? We'll be right back. What a beautiful morning. Rise and shine, friends. We're looking for Bigfoot today.
Oh, my God. What was that?
Is that Bigfoot?
No, that's just Nash. He's a real bear in the morning before he gets his coffee.
Here, Nash. I made a fresh pot of Moses family coffee.
Their original roasted pecan is amazing.
Yum. This is amazing. Bigfoot's right behind me, isn't he?
Run! Ah! Go to mfjerky.com and use promo code SpookyJerky15 to save 15% off your entire order. Moses Family Coffee. The best way to start your paranormal or normal adventure. And we're back. Dave's not with us. He was abducted by an alien during the break. So
They had him on a probe. They grabbed him anyway.
but he's gone.
They beamed him up, and he's gone.
We'll find him one of these days, hopefully.
They'll
but-
return him in 40 years.
Now, to kind of wrap up, for me, digging into the Rendlesham, and it's not new. I'm sure a lot of listeners have already heard about this.
Right.
But once I started looking into it, watching stuff on YouTube, looking things up on the internet, I'm like, I was really like, this is definitely, clearly, 100%.
Yeah.
An encounter. Some of the guys actually were close to having close encounters of the third kind. Is that when you actually meet?
That's when you meet face to face.
Well, maybe that didn't happen. But I mean, the reports, Colonel Halt's recordings. Other people in the town also seeing what the military was seeing. The fact that it was declassified, they buried this, and then in 2002 or whatever it was, declassified some of this. This is what I say. I definitely believe that UFOs exist. Well, when things like this, it's just so see, I told you.
Right.
What do you think?
No, I think this. They definitely witnessed something. They saw some lights. The one guy, he actually saw a landed object. They saw some really weird stuff, and I feel like the government definitely tried to quiet this.
Yeah, that reminds me. There was one guy. Now, when Colonel Halt's group was seeing when they were in the woods and they're with their Geiger counters, and they were seeing that, and he was recording. There was also a backup group that weren't with Colonel Halt, but they were close by, case needed. They were seeing lights too.
Yeah.
And one dude described seeing what he considered maybe like a landing pad.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was only a foot high, this smooth surface. I think he was talking about maybe some fog around it. But he saw a light come down fast at this landing pad, and a big burst of light, and then there was another light. Almost like this, would you call it maybe a beaming pad? They were using this to transfer their drone ships from the mothership down to the forest, and then that drone ship can now explore.
Right.
That's the kind of sense I got. Things were just appearing out of this platform.
Right.
Now this is the one part of the story where it starts to get a little bit all right, I had day one right after Christmas. Okay, that story sounds good.
Yeah.
Colonel Halt's story sounds good. This platform that things are beaming onto,
Right.
it sounds a little strange. I ain't discrediting the guy, but I didn't dig deep enough on his story to have anything more to offer except that, which sounds fascinating.
I think he was definitely one of the men that were injected with that.
He was one that
So
sodium pentothal guys.
So I think that I feel like what they were trying to do is everybody would have these crazy stories. There might be some similarities here and there, but this way nobody can really. That you can't.
Hard to collaborate when your brain can't remember things exactly because it was screwed up. Yeah. Right. Hey, MIB, if you're listening, it's just a podcast. Don't come for us.
Yeah, really. So a couple things I wanted to bring up with Pennington. Yeah. So when he touched the object. When he went back to his room, he kept seeing ones and zeros in his mind's eye, and it just would not stop.
Because he touched the ship.
He touched it, yes. So he wrote down all these ones and zeros in his little notebook and put the notebook away. And then in 2010, so in 2010, he finally talked to somebody about this, and he was like, I still have that notebook. This person was able to look at this and realize it's a binary code that he wrote down.
Okay.
So what he was able to decipher from it.
Was it a grocery list?
No.
Oh.
Exploration of humanity. And then coordinates in Brazil.
What?
Yeah. Continuous for planetary advance, and then he was missing some stuff. And then coordinates for a place in Belize, the Great Pyramid of Giza, There was a place in Peru, the Temple of Apollo in Greece, and then it ended with origin year 8100.
Oh, man, we're not going to be around for when they show up.
Could they make it a little sooner? Oh, my gosh.
Like 2020? Come on.
Yeah. Now, I bring this up because in 1994, Penniston or Pennington? What did I write down? I have Pennington here and Penniston here.
It's okay.
Anyway.
So it's one of those two.
Yeah, it's one of the names.
It's Penniston.
Penniston. Okay, thank you. He underwent hypnosis.
Okay.
Because he was having a lot of nightmares about this. Like, he still had a lot of unresolved
from
issues.
touching the thing, it sounded from the light and it being...
well, once he wrote down those ones and zeros, then it left his mind. He was,
Really?
Yeah, he was good after that. Anyway, so in 94, he went through hypnosis to try to kind of resolve some issues that he had with it, maybe.
He was freaked out a little bit.
But the people that were doing the hypnosis on him, they were asking him a bunch of questions. And they were like, were there any beings present that you could tell from the ship? And he said, yeah, there were visitors. And then when they questioned him about this, he made the statement that they were time travelers from the future.
What?
Under hypnosis.
Yes. These were not extraterrestrial visitors.
What?
But were, he claimed, us from the future.
Is that why they're from 8080 or whatever?
Yeah. He then he went on to explain that the agenda of these time travelers was to collect genetic material.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he
That's
stated
no good.
that the visitors had some kind of severe problem of reproducing their species and would die out if they could not extract human genetic material. Which is a similar thing that a lot of people, they bring that up with alien abductions. They're like they're taking our DNA, I think. But
or they had to go to cloning or something like that.
Right.
And it got clones of clones and
yeah,
they couldn't reproduce.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, the time traveler bit, because I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say they're time travelers. I've heard aliens, but go ahead.
I was going to say there was a similar story about kind of following that timeline. I'm thinking of when it comes to reproduction.
Yeah,
and not so much, and needing genetics or needing to reseed the pool, so to speak, down the line. But there was a movie. It was a kind of a documentary. It was called Demolition Man.
Yeah,
where they kind of with Sylvester Stallone.
You gotta reference Demolition Man.
Yeah, they didn't have there was no exchange of good time. It was all a mental thing.
Okay.
So if you do that for a little while, you're not going to be able to share genetics. See, huh?
Okay.
Right.
Nash.
Right.
That's a first, bro. That we're gonna reference Demolition Man.
I'm telling you, it's where we're headed.
Yeah. So I really do think that the government was trying to keep this out of our knowledge.
He had all that binary in his head that spelled out all of that.
Yeah. Well, and
they were trying to give us a message. We're just not ready to.
Exactly.
I couldn't give you any number or any word or any single letter written in binary at all.
Yeah. It just kept flashing.
Except for the 1 itself and the 0 itself.
Right.
It's funny how you brought out the pyramids. Of course, we have the hieroglyphics,
right?
Egyptian hieroglyphics,
right?
And we also do you know, or at least I've read or heard that there was hieroglyphics on the wreckage of the Roswell spacecraft.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if they were similar.
Is this one alien race that has this technology that keeps coming, poking around? Mm-hmm. It seems like a lot of common things.
Yeah.
Or us trying to keep ourselves on track, maybe, or avoid certain things.
I don't know.
So you're now going to it's us from the future. It's not aliens.
Well, I'm thinking about what he was saying about people from the future. So if it was people from the future, maybe they're coming in so that we don't. So there's certain things that they know happen to us to alter our future, their history.
It is interesting that the description of the one ship is a triangle.
Right.
With hieroglyphics, just like our pyramids, which there's a huge people will still argue over how they were even made.
Yeah.
Rocks. Lots of rocks.
Yeah, how they got piled up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catapults.
Yeah, no, aliens.
Well,
I'm not saying it was aliens.
but it was aliens.
Oh boy.
I don't know, man. This whole thing was extremely fascinating to research, to watch videos on. We gave you what we could from our brains.
Yeah.
Which sometimes is not much.
Yeah.
No.
But, man, just go on YouTube and Google Rendlesham Forest. A lot of things will come up.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of these guys have written books that were involved in this scenario, especially now that it was declassified and they were able to come forward.
Right.
There's a lot of cool information, and I feel like the more you read and research, the bigger of a rabbit hole.
That's how I think. Yeah, it really is.
I think it's extremely fascinating.
The questions get bigger and bigger and bigger in scope. That's amazing. So, unfortunately, I don't think we've answered any questions today. We've only
created more questions.
Yeah.
The one thing I could say is, you know what? I won't be a skeptic in this situation because, again, they try to throw the lighthouse at us.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to go just like, you know what? I believe that we revisited in 1980 in Rendlesham Forest in England. I believe an alien spacecraft came down.
Yeah.
100%. I'm not. Everything these guys said, I'm with you. I think it happened.
I think when we think of our planet and us on this planet as being alone, I think there's just no way. There's just no way.
No.
I mean, there's so many accounts all over the board. Some of them are similar, some are not, of visitors showing up, either from the future or from space or aliens. We're not alone. It's just
we're definitely not alone. I'm fascinated with the fact that you think these aliens are actually time travelers. It's us.
That's what Penniston said.
That's what Penniston said
In his hypnosis.
Oh, yeah, Penniston, yeah.
That's what
I
he said.
pointed at Nash because I know you love this theory. This is like the only...
I do like time travelers. I do like time travelers. And now, if that were the case, I could see it being because I'm a bit of a Whovian.
So you're thinking like the 1947 or whatever, or 45, when was Roswell? God, we should know that. We talked about it.
Yeah,
maybe we didn't talk about it. We did not talk about Roswell.
Yeah.
So that didn't go well. The ship crashed.
Right.
Then we had Kecksburg,
Right.
1965. That didn't go well. The ship crashed. And also, alien Bigfoots came out of the ship.
But
Are you saying we're maybe our future self are perfecting?
Right, they're getting better at it.
Yeah.
So Rendlesham was a good test because no ship crashed, and the government couldn't swoop up and take the remnants of the ship.
Right.
All of them had hieroglyphics.
And they learned a little bit from what happened before, and they're like, okay, we can't do this in Roswell. They're nuts out there. They're out in the desert. We can't do this over in Kecksburg because they're in the woods. Who knows what they're doing out there? But in Britain, they might be a little bit more civilized, and if they're on a military base, there's less likely of a chance of things getting a little haywire. So maybe this is a good place to do it. And they tried it, and now there's talks.
Maybe they'll come back.
Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they're already here. Maybe it's.
I don't know. I thought it was fascinating. There's just so much more to read. And I'm contemplating picking up some of the books by. I'm sure Colonel Halt has one. There was a guy on the first mission. His name was John Burroughs.
Yeah, Burroughs.
There's a lot to look up there. There was a video I found on YouTube where he was hypnotized, to maybe dig deeper in his brain when he's telling a story, and he was relaying his experience walking through the woods, seeing the ship and everything. And I thought there was a report where whoever's with John Burroughs, there was 3 guys.
Yeah, it was Penniston, Burroughs, and
Cabasag.
Yeah.
But wasn't there a report where Burroughs levitated off the ground?
Was there?
Either he touched the ship and it went up a little bit with him. Yeah, there was. That's what I mean.
Wow.
There's so much to these stories.
Created a static warp bubble around itself and it transferred everything within it.
Right.
But look it up. Again, if you've already heard of Rendlesham, hopefully we...
send us some info.
Yeah, send us more info.
Send us what you know.
If you're the Men in Black, No,
It wasn't
send us-
us.
yeah.
It really wasn't us. It
Yeah.
was. It was.
we
that
didn't even
bro-
talk about this.
It was the broadcast.
This whole show was about bunnies. The entire show was about bunnies. That was it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because again, we'll put the bunny back in the box.
Wow.
Bringing Con Air back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Terrible movie.
All right, Rendlesham Forest. That was awesome. Speaking of awesome, everybody, we got the opportunity to investigate Funk Basement yet again. Mm-hmm. But this time with Geigertown Paranormal.
Okay.
Brody, Mike, and Steph coming down from, I think, the Reading area.
Yeah, it's up that area. Yeah.
And their group is called Geigertown Paranormal. They came down, let's see, like the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Set up their equipment, and we did an investigation. You know, we didn't have a lot of time, but we had a few hours to hang down there. And we kind of split up a little bit, let them do their thing. Ryan, he was with us because Ryan, the brewer, he's into the paranormal. He went up in the disco room and was just sipping a beer in the dark with his EVP, with his digital recorder, trying to get some EVPs.
And Norm was nowhere to be found.
No, Norm does not. No,
No.
he is scared of anything paranormal. Lish and I went back in the brewery section. Ryan has some of his small tanks. And because Ryan was like, boy, if I go back there and catch an EVP, it'd be tough for me to work.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I just removed all the swear words from that. But that's basically what he said.
There's a little bit more to it.
So we decided to go back there, and then the Geigertown went over in the old bar area that was in the basement of that building.
Yep.
It used to be called Grinders, very seedy little place. But while Lish and I were over there, Ryan has a punching bag hanging from one of the rafters.
Right.
You know, sometimes you got to work out some aggression and brew beer at the same time.
Right.
You know, we were standing there, I was just kind of saying stuff. You know, I had the digital recorder going. Lish had a thermometer and an EMF detector. Did you have the K2? Are you rocking the K2?
No, I don't
Steph
think.
let us borrow. That was awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you, Steph.
Not yet. I had it when I was in the other room, I think.
But so we're just saying things like, "Hey, you know, if there's anybody here, you know, I'm Mark, there's Lish, you know, talking to this device in my hands, just figuring like, hey, when I play this back, if we catch an EVP, that would be cool." I was banging on a few tanks trying to see if I can get them to make a noise back. Then I started focusing on the punching bag about, hey, you know, making it move.
Right.
So and you know, not making this up. The bag was not moving; it was steady, and I just felt like, you know, we're walking around asking. So if there's spirits in this room, we would be very annoying asking them to perform on
God,
cue.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, we got to calm down. We got to relax.
Right.
There is something here. There's no way to document if we're just, you know, just so we make it happen now. Make it happen now.
Right.
So, all right, I said, hey, we're going to sit down and relax. So we grabbed chairs, I sat down, I put my flashlight on the heavy bag, and it was moving.
Really?
Yeah, and I told this, like, I promise you, I didn't touch it.
Right.
Like, I didn't make a move, and I went over, I let it swing for a little bit just so her and I could discuss it. And I stopped it and got it back to a dead stop. Couldn't get to swing again. But, like, okay, so this bag, and we were there for a while yet, like, this bag is staying at a dead stop. It's not swinging because a truck went by outside.
Right.
And this is one of the heavy 80-pound
Yeah,
heavy
big
bags.
one.
hanging
no,
bags.
it's not that heavy, but it's attached to a giant steel rafter.
Right. Right.
And Ryan wasn't above us, and even if you were, I mean,
you
you
can't
have
make
to
those
really
things
be
swing.
jumping up and
Right.
down. Funny thing is, like, we were picking up EMF readings off of the bag.
Oh.
Very strange. But then we told Brody what happened, and him and Mike and everybody came over, and the whole beam was showing a high EMF, and he's like, man, I think there's definitely some electricity thrown this beam. I don't know if that's he's like, you should tell Ryan to talk to the contractor. And I'm like, oh, so this beam's lit up with
It
some
has
electricity?
some current going through
Wow.
Even though the punching bag, I mean, yeah, it's attached, it's hanging by chains,
it. Right.
but then it's just a bunch of cloth and stuff inside. It was still
Right.
throwing up some readings. Anyway, we did try to debunk a little bit, like nobody walking upstairs. There's always weird factors. That's what we saw. So that's what I can report to you, that we were talking about making the bag move. We sat down,
And then the bag was
turned the light on it, and the bag was moving.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Now, also, now I'm sure Geigertown hasn't had time to go through their EVPs yet. But when they were packing up equipment and getting ready to come to steps, Mike said it felt something. He said, I thought he said grabbed his butt.
Yeah.
But he had posted in our group page that it kind of like something grabbed onto his pocket, his butt pocket, his back pocket. No, it's not his butt pocket. Yeah.
He has a butt pocket?
He has a butt. What do you put in that pocket? And tugged on it, which that would, for me, would be very,
Yeah.
to have something physically do something.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing if they're touching a heavy bag, making it sway. But when they grab me, I'm like, whew, that would be pretty intense.
Did you by chance ask what their approach was? Because it sounds like when the two of you sat down and said, you know what, we don't want you to perform. We just want you to let us know that you're here, kind of a thing, and not like perform for us. I'm wondering if they were upstairs saying, please do something now. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know their approach to paranormal investigations. Interesting question. I wish I would have thought to ask them.
Yeah, because it sounds like the two of you, because you've had experiences before, you know that it's like, okay, well, there's an entity there. The entity might not really want to perform for you, but still want to let you know that they're there. Mm-hmm. Maybe Geiger's approach was a little bit different than that. I don't know. And because it sounds like whenever I've had, I mean, not that anybody pulls on my pockets, but that's like a teasing, like a pulling or an annoyance kind of a thing.
Or, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, don't leave because they were packing up their equipment. Don't leave.
And haven't you guys had in the past? Wasn't there situations of a small child?
Yeah, and they actually brought some trigger out drafts like a ball and a toy. Because we were back in the room where supposedly somebody was hung. Well, I used the word supposedly because like I didn't see it. And that's where they had the trigger objects. We were hanging there for a little bit. You had flashlight issues, but like I said, those flashlights are really cheap. Mm-hmm. You're probably gonna have issues with the flashlights. So you can't count that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it was a super fun time. Mm-hmm. It was great to hang out with those guys and do this. Hopefully, we're gonna do more. We got a message, not a message. We had a post on our group page about this. Was it a haunted bridge or something? Or a bridge with this witch specter. But somebody said we should organize a group and we'll go check this out together.
See, that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I think that would be super fan, especially after doing this with Geigertown. Like, that was a blast. Mm-hmm. You meet new friends, like-minded. We all into the same thing. I was like, that was super cool.
Yeah.
Was the punching bag in the same spot where the person was hung?
No.
That would really suck.
Right?
That would be. I see what you're saying.
Wow. I was like, wow.
Wow. Yeah. No, it was not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That would have been awful.
But I'll go through all the digital recordings that I took that night and see if there's anything there.
Yeah.
And I'll report back. If there's nothing to report, then probably won't bring it up.
Yeah.
If I get something cool, I will definitely bring it up.
Definitely talk about it.
I feel like there's one more little short story to get to, but it's just another comment here from Texas is the reason. Remember, he's the one who's time traveling in every episode of Paranormal Punchers he listens to, brings him 2 more weeks further into the future.
Yep.
So maybe someday he'll catch up to us.
Right.
But in reference to our Loftus Hall episode, where the devil showed up.
Right.
And was wicked handsome. And what was her name? Elizabeth?
No.
Where they got together.
Anne.
Yeah, it was Anne.
Not Elizabeth.
Yeah.
She fell in love, but yada, yada, yada. But he said to one of our posts on Instagram about Loftus Hall, he said, something similar happened here in San Antonio in 1975.
That's where I was born.
That's the year you were born?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wicked interrupted the story.
Sorry about that.
It was at a club, and a handsome young man was dancing with all the ladies and making the other guys mad.
Okay.
Eventually, people noticed he had goat hooves.
What?
He ran to the restroom and disappeared, leaving only smoke and a sulfuric smell.
Wow.
So I'm like, well, clearly we got to look that up and see what that story is all about. But Texas is the reason. I hope you're closer to our time. Mm-hmm. I hope each episode brings you closer.
A little bit closer.
To 2018, maybe 19 by the time you get through the episodes.
Right, exactly.
Thank you for listening, dude. Thank you for contributing your interesting comments. I love it.
I love it.
Man, anything else before we head out here? Episode 50. This was a bunch of fun.
Yeah.
Dave got beamed away by the aliens.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the show,
I know.
he's gone.
Yeah, we're still here. MIB hasn't showed up, or have they?
Uh-oh.
Am I full of sodium pentothal right now?
Yeah, we got to check the time. Did we all move forward like 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Learn more. ParanormalPunches.com. You can send us a message. You can send us topic ideas. You could buy a T-shirt which supports the show. That's awesome.
Yep.
I know I'm giving you too many things to do at once. Pick one.
No,
Do
no,
it.
no.
It's awesome.
Do it all.
Or do it all.
Do it all.
Yeah, just go to our website. Links to everything. We love to hear from you. We love topic ideas because, I don't know, we can't figure out every paranormal thing in the world, but if you tell us, we'll know.
Yep.
We'll definitely take a look at it and let you know what we find.
This has been a good night. Lish, anything else?
No.
Nash?
The more I know, the more I hear about
Dun, 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 dun.
that's right, about these possible conspiracies. Oh my gosh, I can't think about it. There's so much going on out there. Cover your own butts, everybody, and be kind to another.
Great advice, Nash.
Right, yeah.
Cover your own butts.
Cover your own butt, CYA, and be nice to each
Well,
other. Just like Bill and Ted.
remember, if it's not weird,
It's not worth checking out.